Okay, so it's September 27th here. Um, we finished with AMD, so let's have a look at that. We finished with AMD and finished with Apple. All of last year, basically, from October until about July, we bought AMD going all the way through, and it turned out really well for for basically for all of us. Where like my average was about 123. Where is that? Somewhere in here. My average turned out to be about 123, and on AMDL it was like $6 and some change. I'm not exactly sure. Somewhere basically the same thing. Just buying on Fridays weekly, every week buying through. Sold out up here in like the 12 area, and for AMD out at like 180 or so, somewhere up in here. So AMD is finished. We're all out of AMD. Had some good Apple buys going in through here. Sold out last week out here. So Apple's done. There hasn't really been much to talk about because AMD went for so long that it was just a consistent buy every week from last like October, November, all the way until July. That there wasn't really much to bring up or talk about and make a video for what we're going to do next, because there wasn't really a next. There was just keep buying AMD, and we bought it, all the way through here. Something news come up with Amazon, so we'll be looking at that. But for the last month or so, there really hasn't been anything really popping up to say we can move from AMD and we can move from Apple into something more interesting. But Amazon's popped up as interesting. So if we look at the rest of these real quick, just to check them off and say this is why we're not doing it. Apple's up here; it's too high. AMD doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like a terrible buy. If it starts coming down, these will be like a good region to buy at 150 and under. So if somebody's still stuck on AMD, is still thinking about it, is still kind of like intimately familiar with how it's moving, and wants to stay here, anything under 150 is a good buy for AMD. It looks like it wants to cross over, same as it crossed over here and came down, crossed over here on the MACD and came down, crossed over here and come down. Would be the expectation. So oversold, or overbought, overbought. Crossover and drop, crossover and drop, crossover and drop would be the expectation here. Same with run up, climb down, run up, climb down, run up, climb down. So maybe, maybe, I'm not looking too closely at AMD, but maybe if it drops below 150 and starts hitting like call it 140 and 120, it could be a good candidate. But that might be out here towards like December or January of this year. So we're still a few months from AMD being a good, like, big swing weekly buy option. Oh, let's look at Google. Google's just way up. Nothing really to say about Google. They had some news where, obviously beyond this big green candle, they had some news that pushed them high where they weren't getting sued by the government as a monopoly, and they don't have to sell Google Chrome to like Yahoo or something. So then they exploded and blew up. I would still be waiting for them to drop like way, way back down before I would consider buying them. Facebook, Facebook always looks good, just, nice and consistent across. So if there's nothing to buy, you could buy Facebook, but it's not like great prices, not great opportunity. It just consistently climbs. And so if Facebook was something you wanted to get into, you could, but for me, it doesn't offer a good opportunity until like down here, 660 or 560, which is like, that's a massive drop. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying if I wanted to buy it, that's where I would be buying it at. Not really much to say about Microsoft. We can just skip right through these real quick. Where'd Nvidia go? Nvidia, not much to say about Nvidia. Expecting some kind of crossover drop down. If it doesn't get down to 145 ish, then I don't care that much about Nvidia. It runs well, it's climbing well, but if it doesn't give me a good price and a good opportunity, then Nvidia doesn't offer me anything. And then, of course, Tesla is exploded way up. Um, there is something worth talking about for Tesla where all of this previous chart history may not be valid anymore because here Elon had bought 2 million shares. He bought $1 billion worth of Tesla. That will increase the baseline price of Tesla because there are 2 million shares less that aren't available in the market anymore. So the natural sitting price of it's going to be much higher. I don't know how high that sitting price will be, but none of this is really valid anymore. So we're not really looking for, what is that, like 330? Not really looking for 330 anymore because there's 2 million less shares available in the market. It might take this 6, 8, 12 months to set up a new kind of chart, something that gives it new consistency and a new benchmark and lines to look at. So for now, Tesla's kind of dead for us. There's nothing really to buy. If it does happen to come down in the 330 ranges, it's like an instant buy because those shares aren't available anymore. So it should just naturally sit higher. We'll have to wait a lot of months to find out where Tesla's going to be. But for now, we can just look at Amazon. We don't want this. So for Amazon, obviously it broke down. What do we got here? Like 216. 216 is a great price, but we're looking up here at about 230. So anything under 230 is basically a good buy, and it's giving us really good pricing here at around 216. It closed Friday 219.78. We're looking for this crossover here on the MACD, looking for it to just drive down into oversold territory, crossover, and start really dropping out. If we can get like a big red candle next week and the week after that, I would expect reasonably for this to, we can just draw this out. Oh, if this has to travel, down to here or so, that is the 27th of October. So give it 4 weeks. You might have like 4 weeks, not including this one. It'd be like 5 weeks of buying. Let's put this. I mean, that's good enough there. So we see this come down, and then we see it come all the way back up. Call that another month. We'll be at. That's good enough right there. So if we look for some kind of move like this, then there'll be like 4 or 5 weeks of Fridays to buy this, and then maybe like 3 more weeks to come all the way back up to 216, and then hold it from 216 all the way up to about 250, and then we'll be looking to sell roughly around January. If we're really just bullshitting the numbers here, but roughly around January at about 270. So that'll be the move we're looking for on Amazon, and it's worth making a video and pointing out that this would be my expectation here. It drops out, it comes down, we break through 216, we start buying, come all the way down to 190. Anything under 200 would be cool. There's a gap to fill right here. This gap is basically 200, so 198 all the way down to 195. So to be looking to fill this gap is my expectation. So yeah, that would be Amazon. Just buy it every Friday for probably the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then buy it every Friday for the next 3 on the way up. We'll get 8 weeks of buying out of it. Maybe 10 if it stacks sideways like this one did, where if we just look historically and plan it around this similar idea, once it breaks through, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It kind of trickles up and trickles around. But if we get back up into this area, I don't think it'll be 19 or 20 weeks. I think we'll just be buying for 8 to 10 weeks and then letting it just run, and we'll find something else 8 to 10 weeks from now, but that's 2 or 3 months from now, which will take us to the end of the year. So Amazon will be my plan and the thing that I'm buying for the next 2 months and carrying into the end of the year. It'll look something like this, and we'll just buy it every Friday. If we get into a smaller time frame, we're getting down 213. 204. I've got this mark here at 205. It's gonna notify me on like my phone. It'll buzz me and tell me that it's below 205. But that's what I'm expecting it to do. And I could even set another one here if I wanted at 197 into the gap fill at 194. Yeah, I mean something like this, and then if we get all the way down to here, we could clean this lines up a little better and say, down to 191. If this came up, so call it 190 is like the bottom floor that we're looking for. If it gets down into here like this one did, then it's just better buys. But plan for Amazon and plan for buying 8 to 10 weeks worth of Amazon on Fridays and then carrying it back up for another 3 or 4 weeks out into the end of the year. So yeah, that'll be it. That's Amazon. The rest of them, I wouldn't focus too heavily on them. I wouldn't focus too much on like Apple, AMD, Microsoft. We're finished with those. Moving into AMD and this big dip that I expect to come. So yeah, that'll be it.